about the learnings of Layar the last 1.5 years that we are a company. A little disclaimer, it's going to be about personal learnings. As Layar is nothing but code and machines, and we're not in that phase that can learn itself. Thank God. Skylab or something. So it's about personal learnings, and I don't feel confident to talk about learnings of others, so it's going to be my personal learnings. So short, who am I? I'm Raimo Klein. I'm already more than 10 years in mobile, now CEO of Layar. We won Mobile Clicks 2009. And I try to sum myself up in a sentence. It's, I can't move without a clear purpose. If you ask me to move, I naturally tend to ask why. That's kind of me. I always kind of need to know why I do things. And there needs to be a clear purpose for things. I think it's relevant in the context of the story. This is the founding team of Layar, and as you see at the right top, it's the Vodafone Mobile Clicks check. Actually, we won 75,000 euros, and this has a place in the office. And okay, let's start with what is Layar. I can have a whole kind of nice pitch here, but instead, Layar is a lot of things to a lot of other people. This maybe has also been our problem a little bit. It has been a lot of things. It's been an app to impress friends with. It's a platform to make money with through building layers for corporations. So we've got more than 6,000 developers actually making content. It's a nice collection of screenshots to use in press articles. So the press loves us. They like to make screenshots of augmented reality experiences and publish them. It's a story of a couple of entrepreneurs. We secured ridiculous amounts of venture capital, in total 12.5 million euros. Got a lot on the bank. We're also a company without a clear business model, so we always get the business model question, as how do you make money, and then we always have kind of a blah blah story, and we're still in the phase of defining that. We have 1.5 million active users every month that come to our platform. So more than 6,000 people, so there are 57 people, of which 20 are in Ukraine, and 37 are here in Amsterdam. So this is Layar. But what is Layar for us? We started off Layar as a way to really understand what augmented reality is. We were very inspired by science fiction books, but there was no way to bring that into the real life. And suddenly with the first Android phone, it was possible to deliver the first kind of augmented reality experiences, and we just had to deliver it. We just had to make it. We just had to make a platform on which people could develop all kinds of applications for augmented reality. And that transferred from learning as a place to learn to really understand what we want to do with it, and it's about opening up space, democratization of space. Let me just touch a little bit on what that is. So we democratize space, and space is the place where all events take place and where all objects are. And that place is currently filled with all kinds of stuff, media, content, advertising, you name it. It doesn't have a lot of humanity in it. It's controlled by corporations and governments, and it's kind of pushed towards you, and you have two options: swallow it or ignore it. That's the thing you can do with space currently. It's fixed. Here's a nice quote of Guy Debord. He was a situationist from the late 50s. In societies where modern conditions of production prevail, all of life presents itself as an immense accumulation of spectacles. Everything that was directly lived has moved away into a representation. So what we see is one big spectacle of content and advertising and messages, etc. But the humanity of it all is disappearing. You don't see who actually produced the products you're eating. You don't see where it comes from. You see models that talk to you, not the corporations. So we are blinded currently, not able to see through the spectacle. And what we want to do with Layar is we want to bring the human element back in space. We see all space as a blank canvas again, on which we can build our own realities. And that's what we're going to do. So this is a vision that developed the last 2 years. So here's also one of the first learnings, is that you don't need to start off with a very clear purpose or vision as a startup. If you just have a very intrinsic need to build something, just build it. Maybe you don't know even why yet, you will figure it out, just start building it. That's what we did as well. So now let's start with some key learnings. I tried to summarize them and it's pretty hard to do. From my nature, I don't reflect. I just look to the future and move towards that. So it was hard for me to kind of look back and see how I have developed the last 1.5 years. And I've tried to group them a little bit in some categories. Let's start with one which is maybe very straightforward, but it was a hard one to learn. It's trust your gut. When you are in such a dynamic space where we were as Layar, you get a lot of impulses, a lot of messages, a lot of tips, a lot of feedback. And it's very tempting to continuously react on everything you get from the outside in. What I've learned is to kind of do nothing with it. Just let it absorb it, and let it hang for a while. Listen and feel from the inside. And you need to have a lot of confidence and bravery to do this. And in the beginning of Layar, you listen to a lot of people, and you are new in the field, and you are very tempted to listen too much directly and act upon it. And forget about maybe the voice in your head or the feeling in your stomach when you really want to move in another direction of the company. What's also very important is that you use the people around you to make sense of your feelings. So a lot of times, I just didn't want to do things with Layar. I didn't have the arguments. Don't worry about not having arguments. Just share that you don't want to do it and let the people around you help you to really figure out why you don't want to do it. And there have been numerous occasions that I was not happy with press releases, with product directions, opportunities, distribution deals, etc. And it didn't feel well. I didn't know why, but you'll figure out in the end. Trust your gut, and it's hard. And you need people that trust you to be able to do this. Find your pulse, that's another thing. What we saw at Layar is that we have a rhythm. And I think every company has a rhythm. And for us it's very seasonal. So we deliver products in June and in December. You can count on it. It's always the same rhythm. And it's a summer period in December where we do a lot of reflection. And it's a certain wave you go through, right? It's an iteration wave. And that's the only thing we're doing here. So if you look at the definition of a startup, it's for us a temporary organization in search of a viable business model. It's a temporary organization. That means you have a limited amount of time to figure out your business model. And it means you need to do a lot of iterations, as much as you can. Don't do too many if you don't do them correct. So you need to figure out the width of your wave and the height of it. So how deep are you going to iterate, and how long are you going to take to do it? Once you have defined this pulse, make it explicit, know who is important in which phase, and get everybody on that same rhythm. We had a phase in the company where we were actually producing one product, and another team was developing a new one. So we were working on Layar 5.0, and we had a group working on Layar 6.0. Then you get a lot of mix-ups, right? Priority settings. Some people need something from the other ones. It's 5.0 important, it's 6.0 important. And what we try to squeeze now is kind of get everybody on the same boat and make it as one organism that really moves or serves the waves. And this is pretty hard when you have 57 people. It's incredibly hard to just have one thing you do as a company with 57 people. But it's necessary. One of the biggest dangers is that you have too many departmental plans in your company. Little departments making their own plans, which in itself look very interesting, but as a whole, it doesn't connect to the whole. And we also learned here to kind of not do the departmental plans if they're not kind of connected to the bigger plan. If you are interested in this, I can recommend you a book. It's called Theory U. It will help you understand these kinds of iteration cycles, innovation cycles. Focus. One of the most difficult things to do in a startup is to say no to opportunities. And you have to say more times no than you say yes. And a lot of opportunities look good, but every opportunity is hell. It's a lot of distraction, and it's complex and a lot of work. Every time you say yes and you think it's simple, it's not. It's not simple, it's going to be complex. Everything you touch is complex and it can distract you. So be very careful with making decisions on which opportunities to pursue. We have pursued too many opportunities at a certain time in our company, and we're still feeling the kind of the pain of that, the contracts which are associated to that.
Can you give an example? Can we ask questions? Sorry?
Yeah, sure.
Can you give an example? What kind of opportunities you're
white label?
You said no to, for instance.
White label deals.
Yeah.
So with Layar, we want to be a brand, and it's, you know, we want to be one browser that's installed on all phones. So there are a lot of opportunities for us to do white label deals. But a white label deal people will have different features there in their functionalities. It's a different project, time schedules. We have a paying customer that has a higher priority than our own product, etc., etc. So white labels, for example, it sounds very tempting. Like, you know, we just strip the brand name of it, we make a nice separate app for it, and we sell it. It's hell.
But it means also that you're able to say no to these kind of opportunities if you know where you're heading to.
Yeah.
If there's a real clear focus on what your vision is on.
Even if you don't know your focus.
Oh, sorry?
Even if you don't know your focus. So for example, we said no to opportunities. So white label was one of the things we for sure knew it just wouldn't scale. You know, it was just a business that wouldn't scale for us. So we know that that wasn't the direction to go, but we also didn't know where to go for sure. But one of the crucial things here is to have funding, to be able to say no.
I think to ask if that's not directly related to your ability to have funding to keep focused on your goal.
Yeah, so one of the most important things for us was, at the peak of our hype, get as much money in as possible. And we did. And that gives us the room to iterate, because it's a new field. It would be arrogant to think that we really know where augmented reality is going. It takes time, and we're in the best position to learn and to figure it out, and we have.
Well, how did you manage it? Was it a plan? Hey, there's a hype, so now we have to get the money?
We started Layar. The first thing we made when we started Layar was we made a Gartner hype cycle. And we knew exactly where on the hype cycle we would be, and in which phase we would need to collect money, and when the difficult phase will be, and when we will get out of it again. So we knew from the front that we needed to be the #1 brand for AR, that we needed to have all the press attention, because all the press attention will get all the venture capital attention. Make sure that AR is one of the most important technologies out there, and that was kind of the case. You didn't have to do a lot on that. So that all helped. Don't create large lists of action points. I don't have any action points, never. I just do what needs to be done. And there, you know, it's not about a list that tells me. I just know from the inside what needs to be done now. And I always listen to the inside. So I only do one thing. Today I'm doing this. And the most important one is this one. Personal growth. The big difficulty is when you're in the condition of a startup is you cannot make an honest opinion about your own behavior. You will fall in your own pitfalls. You will be stressed out. You will show behavior that is not effective. You will reach your personal ceilings. And it's having an environment, a safe environment in your kind of corporation that allows you to grow and break through these ceilings, that you as a company will be successful. That's for us a truth. So in our company, we value personal growth. And it's not a problem to hit your personal ceiling. It's a problem if you don't want to break through it. Then it becomes an issue. And you see it immediately when somebody's stuck in a meeting. You see it that they're struggling, that they're insecure, that they have some kind of beliefs that are in the way of being effective. And we have a coach, in fact, his name is Peter Mulder, his website is also training.nl. And he helps us every month. We have a session with the whole management team where we discuss if anything is in the way of growth. And one of the things we do a lot there is kind of positioning. So how do we position each other together and also in a market? Who is close to whom? Who is looking at whom? Can you see everybody that's important for you? So we actually do a positioning game, in effect, to understand the relationship we have with each other and with the market. And we spend a lot of time with it, and I think this is probably the biggest reason why we were able to continuously grow as a company and take next steps and don't get stuck. And the last one is a mistake. And it's so important to create a safe learning environment. So I think and it creates the opportunity to be vulnerable inside your company and express your ceiling in a sense. So I think everybody in the management team at Layar cried at one time or another.
Was that the first time to get started with the discussion?
Sorry?
Was it the first time to start with the discussion with each other?
No, we started the company with these sessions.
Okay.
So this was already from the very first seed of Layar, already inside of us, that we knew that if we want to succeed in this, that at least the three founders would really understand where we are and keep ourselves sane by talking to each other. I have so much respect for Mark Zuckerberg that he can do it alone, as a kind of one founder now. But I'm so happy that I have Martin and Claire to reflect with, and it can give me honest feedback on my behavior, and they keep me kind of on my path. Very important. So summary: trust your gut, find your pulse, focus, and value personal growth. That's it. Thank you very much.